Yeah, yeah. I didn't think my light placement through.
No, you're good. You got a nice blank wall in the background. Meanwhile, my background is very confusing and busy. So you can't tell where my head starts and where it ends with the beanie.
Is this all your studio stuff right here?
Yeah. Yeah, this is
on the other side.
This is the studio. I got little cameras around here. I'm trying to pull it up. Oh, there it is. Yeah. You can't see it on your end. Wondering if I got to figure that out, how I can get it to go through Zoom. But yeah, this is my studio room. I got kind of the little guitar place over here where we'll track and stuff. But mainly I'm just kind of glued right here like a hermit, all day, all week, just working on beats, programming, vocals, stuff like that. I do the vocals just right there.
That's awesome.
It's very claustrophobic, but I also love it. So, it's a mixed. You work at home on your music?
I do, man. I got same deal. I got my studio monitors, nothing too fancy, but I have gotten a bunch of new software that I'm digging on, all the output, that native instrument stuff. It's just stuff toys I've never had before on the programming tips. I'm loving it, man. I'm just going down the rabbit holes and not really trying to write. I'm writing, but I'm just spending time trying to get more technical and learn more about, because I love programming so much,
Yeah.
I'm not good at it, but I'm trying.
No, I've every idea I've heard you shoot to us and stuff is awesome. So it's like, oh, thank you. That's the hot sake I was talking about earlier.
That's so unreal.
The hot sake.
Get it in you.
I don't know if it might be a little too hot to drink yet, but yeah, dude. I mean, I've always loved the stuff you shot to me, so it's really just like trying to make it bigger and better and cooler and find more tricks and more magic. I mean, that's what I've been doing most of this quarantine is just kind of, I feel like I'm in a cocoon. I'm just trying to evolve when we come out of this thing into a different creature with new skills and a new level of production savvy, a new level of musicianship and all those kinds of things. And it's weird because we're in a time now where I don't know if you feel this way, but I always feel like there's this pressure to constantly engage with people and kind of check in all the time and go, hey, I'm still here. Hey, we're still here. Don't forget about us. Don't move on with your life. Because that's what every label is afraid of happening to their bands, that people move on, they forget about the band because they're not always in the spotlight or causing some kind of news or whatever. But I personally like to get a little more introverted when we're not pushing an album and try to dig deep into that cave and find some new things. And it's kind of hard to do that when you're asked to constantly come out into the light, when you're just a hermit, digging through the mud. But I don't know if you feel that way too or not.
Yeah, I mean, no, I do. And I agree. There is a need. The only good thing I will say about it is that everyone has kind of been pushed into obscurity. Everyone's has a presence still, but everyone's kind of put in that situation where this part of your career, this touring aspect is gone. So your existence and your connection is only really through what this kind of stuff and other outlets. But at the end of the day, it's like, if you're not pushing an album, this is like, I thought this too before with you guys in particular was, for bands that are super creative and super, their work ethic is good, this makes you dangerous. This time here, just all the idle time to really formulate your music, because you guys formulate and you work and you hone it into the best. So, not to add that pressure on the next record, but it's like, I know you guys are going to y'all are digging deep and, like you said, finding those tricks and that new level that is going to be so exciting to hear when it does come out. But some other bands, they just kind of sit with it on their hands and don't do much, and it can be dangerous,
Yeah. I mean, now really is the time, because it's because even if you put out music, people will definitely appreciate it right now, and I respect the bands that are putting stuff out and giving people some things to listen to during this. But at the same time, it's kind of it's a weird time to put out an album. It's a difficult time. Yeah. I was curious about that with Sevendust. You guys just put one out. There's a lot of, I don't know, with touring and everything, it seems like it's a strange time to try to follow things up and monetize it and try to make it work. Or I don't know. What are your thoughts on that right now?
I mean, I'm torn. I mean, like you said, we had the record done last year before all this happened, so we were sitting on it already for a good amount of time, but it was like, you want to give someone something to listen to, but without the touring, it definitely has seemed like it has a shorter lifespan. Like the attention span for people in general is so small compared to the olden days. And so it's like you have this moment where you release a record and it's all the rage for a week or so. And then it just seems really, really short with this, because you can't go out there and hear them singing anything back or tell you, oh man, I really connected with this. Or gauge how, because to me, when that song is played live and it translates to the stage, that's like the other test of the song's value.
Right.
To me. Whether is this song going to affect people the way we thought it would, and so without that, it's been a dull experience, in terms of the validation aspect.
Yeah. It's like the TED Talk versus the, putting it in the marketplace and seeing if the rocket flies kind of a thing. Yeah, it totally is. And I don't know, man. It's a weird time. It's a weird time, especially with like live performances too. I had a buddy, Chris Cotton, who was over here the other day. We had a little Christmas party, a little ugly sweater party. Got out of hand, which was great. It was just wild. And he was asking me, or what I remember him asking me, we had quite a few drinks. He was like, what do you think of the live performances on the web thing? And, are y'all going to do that? And those kind of things. And
yeah,
I was like, well, it's actually a brilliant idea from a money-making point of view, especially when you're not able to tour and most of your income's gone. You can sell tickets across the world in one place, one time.
Totally.
I was like, that's pretty awesome. But at the same time, I don't get that excited about it personally. I mean, I don't know. It just, I love music videos and I love really cool pieces of media, but the live performance and trying to make it work in that format, it's, he was asking me if we're going to try it. And I was like, maybe not. I'm open to it, totally open to it. But it just, part of it feels weird to me. I don't know. Just, It's like, have you ever seen some of those stand-up comedians trying to do it online?
That's weird.
And it's so strange. It's like, there's no audience. There's no
it's dead air. It's like it's the opposite effect of what they want.
Yeah.
They want laughter and or shrieking or some response. Like that's what makes it. All right, is it working?
Right.
Yeah.
There isn't that feedback mechanism where you put the energy into the audience and they put it back into you, and you put the energy. It creates that loop. It's just a one way, like sending it out to space.
We did one.
And, I'm so sorry, man. I didn't even know. I've been in my little bubble here.
No. What? It's okay, man.
I didn't even see it. Shit.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, whatever. It's one of those things, man, where it was the only option. It is not a live experience. It is absolutely clinical, and it right. Once I let go of the idea that this is going to be a show, it was just like a really well done rehearsal. But at the same time, there's going to be someone watching it. So as long as I let go of the idea that there isn't going to be anyone clapping, or there isn't going to be any energy for like that, let's just play well, or let's try to. And again, I've seen a few other bands do it, and some just seem, TV performances are the only real comparison. Like the TV when the audio is just super dry and there's no like bells and whistles or reverb. It's just like, DI mix. And I've never been a fan of those. And that's with these, they're a little bit better than that, but there's people that appreciate it. People gather and they watch it and stuff, but it is definitely weird. And I'm always curious about the bands that, what your viewpoint on it is, because it's interesting. I mean, we might still do it here every now and then.
Yeah.
We're gonna do another one for Animosity coming up. It's
awesome.
anniversary for a record.
That's my favorite album still. It's hard to top, man. It's so good.
Yeah, it was a vibe for sure.
God.
Yeah, we're gonna do that. Is it gonna be weird? Yes. Is everything weird? Yes. Everything's weird.
Right. You're kind of in this context where it's like, well, what is weird? What is not? Because I mean, I think it's if people are digging it and then awesome. You know, like I said, it's like the most amazing capability that we have to like have everyone in the same virtual space at the same time. It's really cool. But yeah, as a performer, it is kind of like a head trip. You know, it's like it reminds me of some of the studio performances we've done for radio things. It's a similar thing where you're just like, you know, I'm getting into this, but everything's so dry and sterilized. I feel like it's like this is a horrible analogy, but like having sex in a doctor's office or something, unless that's somebody's weird fetish or something. To me, it's like it's like the bright lights, everything looks, you know, too exposed and it's clinical and sterile and it's just weird, man.
I mean, you could do lights. I mean, you guys are big production guys. You would do it. I have faith that you would do it in a very unique way. There's bands that are trying to do like more of a house party. There's bands that do a real raw and rock, you know.
Yeah.
And that's kind of cool, but it's still, man, you know, maybe someone's going to do it like, oh, that's a cool way to do it. I don't know. There's always, how long do you think this is going to be a thing?
That's a good question. I think it's definitely opening some doors that are really cool. New ways to relate to our fans, new ways to express music and use media. I think it's kind of getting all of our gears turning on new ways that we can do it. And I like that side of it. But in regards to how long it's going to go, that's a good question, man. I think that really comes down to the people deciding how long we want to do it or not. You know, it's like it really.
Yeah, I mean, you know, one thing for bands. No, go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Oh no. I was just about to go down some political rabbit hole, which I probably shouldn't. So let's keep it on your track.
Just drink the hot sake.
Yeah, the hot sake is pulling out the politics.
Take a shot of your hot sake, dude. And hey, go for it, man. Go down any rabbit hole you see fit.
Nah, no. You go ahead.
Oh, dude, it's crazy, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. I hear people talk about, you know, it being a part of the new business model moving forward, and people, instead of going to abroad where it's just so difficult for a new artist with financially, just to go over there is really difficult. So maybe it'll be a way where we can still kind of reach those people exclusively. We've had a hard time getting to Europe as much as we need to. So I don't know. I mean, not that would be the you know, the remedy for that, but it's certainly something like, oh, well, let's just, you know, put a show together and live stream it. And even if it's an actual show that you do the live stream for, you know,
right.
Like an actual where there's attendance, and then you still do the video content for people, which is already happening with YouTube and live DVDs, all that.
Yeah. I feel like we just need to do it where we give some people some recommendations. Like you have to drink 4 beers. You have to have a speaker system of this size or higher.
Absolutely.
And you have to turn it up to this decibel range. You know, there's some instructions. You can't just watch it on computer speakers and be completely sober. And, you know, that kind of ruins it.
What about the I mean, who's going to regulate the rule? Who's going to enforce that? Because someone's going to show up like a Peloton deliverer. Hey, or here's the sonars or whatever those things.
Yeah.
Those are really cool.
Man, I mean, I don't know. I think it's really cool to open all these, you know, possibilities. My concern is really just, I saw a headline the other day, and not to get into politics too much, maybe a little bit, but my concern as politics relate to the music industry is I saw a headline that said, you know, new strain of the coronavirus that doesn't respond to the vaccine, whatever. And in my head, I was like, of course, this was like inevitable that we were going to, you know, get to a point where we have a vaccine and then they're going to say there's another, you know, strain, which may be totally backed up scientifically, right? That's how these things work. They evolve and they adapt, and you know, that's how the flu works. I mean, that's how anything works. But my concern is that this ever-present threat psychologically that we've kind of implanted into the masses is that where's the end game? Where's the line that we draw that we go, okay, yes, there's a threat, as there are many threats in the world, because the world's a dangerous place. Like it always has been. We're
Absolutely.
just more aware than we've ever been of all of it. And so our senses are a little bit on overload, but where's the point where they can just keep stringing one threat after another threat after another threat to a point where we never get fully back to normal and we're in this like permanent societal paralysis? That's my only concern, like as far as buffering it, to make sure that as a society we push back a little bit. I'm not saying all the way like really extreme right or really extreme left, but just making sure that there is like an end game. You know, we don't have an ever present, like an unending virus and this is the new normal. I've heard a lot of people say this is the new normal. Like I am so not fucking cool with that. I'm not down with a new normal. Like I'm down with maybe new methods and new things that we deal with, but like, I don't know. We can't like just drag it on forever. So that's that weird gray zone, and there's going to be a lot of debate there. And you know, nobody knows. I'm not claiming to know, but I definitely want to see us get back to real concerts and real touring at some point, and real human interaction. But I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
No, it's very interesting. I have the same fears, and one thing that everyone's like, oh, there's like this imaginary wall that's going to lift up. Okay, everything's cool now. All the bands, everyone can go back to these live. It's not going to be an immediate thing, regardless. And what my concern is, even when it is kind of slowly evolves to whatever, you know, gatherings of any kind, are people going to be cool in gathering environments? Like there's going to be a good year or year and a half where everyone's been kind of locked away. And I don't think people are going to rush out. And I think people psychologically are going to be like, I want to say, used to this and kind of prefer the isolation and the, you know, introverts. And I don't know, for me, I don't want to say it fits my personality, but I've been on the road so many years that I have embraced this. Like I needed it to re-energize my love for the game. But I have the same fears, man. I saw that the same thing you're talking about, the coronavirus, the new strand, and you know, generally when these strands, they evolve, but they're weaker and they're not. It usually goes a better direction. So when it was like, oh, this is more contagious, and this is, you know, not, you know, it was like, oh man, is this going to be like the next? And that's another, who knows, couple years, you know, and that is a very terrifying reality. When you were just saying that, I was like getting like depressed. I was like, oh my God.
Well, damn it.
No, but that's great though. It's like, it's not great, but I think of those things too. And I think it's natural to have that fear. I mean, when's it going to end, man? When is this going to be? What's it going to look like? And I stopped wrestling with it. I just try to get as much reliable data as possible and try to plan accordingly. And it's just tough, man.
Yeah. So when you were saying you're kind of well adapted to this, is it mainly because of so much of the touring that you've done, or are you naturally an introvert, or are you just taking advantage of this time and really enjoying the, you know?
It's kind of all those things. I love people. I love touring. I love playing shows. I have children. It's very difficult to be away from them. My dad was a musician. He was always gone. My mom was a musician. So I know what the curse of that is. It's like, so you get this amazing experience in music and living this life, blessed with these songs and a creative outlet, but the price is, you know, distance. And so I'll never get. Well, I'll say never. I mean, we've been at this a long time. Just to get a year where I'm not. There's no thinking about it. There's no decisions to be made. The decisions are made for me. So I don't have to feel guilty about not being out there, not playing the shows. And because I mean, a lot of our identity, yours and mine, is tied up in that. like what we do. And I can easily go down the rabbit hole of like, who am I? What am I worth? I'm nothing, it's like, because you're so used to being in the, your purpose is that. But man, I've really enjoyed it. I'm an introvert naturally. I don't really hang out a lot. I used to be insane. So I just kind of, I don't drink anymore. So I don't, when people are throwing it down, like I love to be around, I'm still festive, but I like to let them do their thing. And I just kind of get in my little zone, and I'm cool with it, man.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's awesome. I'm happy that, you get this time with your family, especially with all your kids, like being able to be free of the worry of that inevitable touring cloud, which is exciting and also terrifying at the same time.
Oh yeah.
As we both know, I get like 2 weeks into touring and I'm like, this is awesome. And then I'm like, I want to go home. Third week.
That's the thing, the place I'm at, not to jump in, but one thing that I do, and when we do start this up, I have just a boundary with it. Everything out after 3 weeks for any band, it seems like it starts taking on water, man. The relationships get strained. So, the tension is created. That's when you start pointing at each other like, that starts happening. So after years and years of seeing that play out, like you realize after 3 weeks on a 5-week tour is when everything starts fucking falling apart. So we're like, let's stop doing that. Let's just do 3 weeks, take a week off, do another 3 weeks, just stop, have some sort of a break. So we're going to change our model, but we're not really playing less, just playing smarter for us.
Yeah.
Some bands love grinding it, and I respect that too.
Yeah. No, we talked about that a lot. I had the same observation that around that 3 week marker, it's just like things just go downhill.
I've never liked you.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's so funny.
I'll
do a whole case study on the psychology of band touring.
I'll never forget Dan and I almost killed each other in Belgium outside a bar once. We were
Europe.
Yep, we were in Europe, and it was like the two American guys with the rest of the bar was, from there, and the two American guys are just like wrestling in the street.
Shirts off, like
just fuck you motherfucker,
oh man,
I remember he pushed me and I fell down and like did a little roll, then ran at him and tackled, and then we just, and I could only imagine what it was like from their point of view. And then we went back to the hotel and we were cool, and then there was like, those hotels where it's all glass, so you could see the receptionist inside, and it's like 3 a.m. or something. There's nobody around except us. And then you just hear this boom, just like our bodies hit the wall, fighting each other. And that's what it was. We're like 6 weeks in, or maybe even more than that on a world tour. And, we're just reaching that breaking point, man, on every level. And, you add a little alcohol to that because everybody wants to unwind and, about to blow a gasket. It's like, I don't know, we're like modern day pirates at times when you're on the road. It feels like port to port.
It's so funny, man. Some of those stories are awesome. I love hearing that. I love hearing band fighting stories because I've seen all of them. I've been involved. I've attacked the guys and they've attacked me, and it's brotherhood stuff, man, for real. I just want to minimize the likelihood of those events.
Yeah.
7-week tour abroad. It doesn't have to be Europe. I mean, even European bands coming over here for 6 or 10 weeks, whatever it is.
Yeah.
That's a long, when you're away, there's an ocean between you, that weird things start happening to the psyche of bands.
Oh, yeah.
When I got 7-10 weeks of this, when you're not making a ton of money, you're just like, it's a grind.
Yeah.
Man.
Oh man. Bands. Yeah. There's a lot going on there with like you said, on every level, like from your home life back home. If you have a family or a lady, the natural like human monkey brain is going to have some trust issues at some point, Let's like get a few weeks in and then see how much you trust each other and how much you communicate, and and then,
oh man, everybody's carrying their own versions of home stress. So
Yeah.
everyone in the band's dealing with their own like demons, and then you come together and
And then you want to take it out on somebody.
yeah, let's bring all of our attention in a circle together and, on a bus or a van or whatever, like right on top of each other. Oh man.
Yep. Well, that's a crazy
Can't
thing.
wait to get back out there.
Yeah, let's. Oh, I miss touring so much.
I actually do.
Yeah, the flip side is I found that there's like the inverse to that, which is being home, and it's like awesome, and then at some point you like get the itch. At least I do. I'm like, is awesome, but I found the best sweet spot is when you have this even balance of the two, when you can kind of have this wave of, and I heard one of our very first. Our first manager was Will Hoffman, but we had a co-manager with him a little while after he came on, a guy named Brad Russa, and he told me this thing way back, and I never forgot it. He said, he goes, you know what, Jonny? I think human beings for thousands of years were very much like hunter-gatherers. We've heard that in school, and, we always had the image of the caveman and, going out and getting the meat and bringing it home. And he's like, I think there was something to that. He's like, I think we really evolved to have something in our soul, in our brain, or whatever, to where we need to go away for a little while.
Yeah.
And then we need to come back. And then we need to go away and we need to come back. And it teaches you to appreciate things. It teaches you to miss things.
Absolutely.
And when you don't have that and you're just there, right there with the person, they could be the most amazing person in the world, but you fucking hate them and you want to smack them in the face and they want to smack you in the face, and you see all of each other's flaws and you just get frustrated. But it's not even them half the time. It's just that you're just not in your usual like back and forth flow. Like I don't have that dopamine rush every day that I get from being on a stage. Like that's literally some sort of an adrenaline dopamine kick that in some weird way, it's like a healthy drug addiction, because it's not me, doing something destructive to get that kick. It's me doing something productive to get it, but it's still a hit. It's still a hit to my brain, And so when I've removed that from my life, it's like there's that itchiness, where I'm just like, I want to blow something up. I want to just like, that destructive part of me starts coming out, and it's just an itch, I need, my brain's like dopamine. And so I can only imagine how people who really have legitimate, substance issues this is probably a really tough time for them. I mean, substances are like right there,
Yeah.
So God, I feel for everybody in this time with that. It's just so available, and it's like trying to find the things to plug yourself into that are still giving you something.
Yeah.
I always heard this thing when I was a kid. I was raised on the Bible, in church. Parents were real religious, and I always heard about Jesus casting out demons. And there was this one instance where he cast out a demon, and there was, whether you believe that or not, I tend to think, I have my own thoughts about that and about the psyche, but how they thought about it then was these spirits that would possess you and would cast them out. And then when you had kind of an empty vessel in a sense, and you were clear, your energy was cleared, or however you want to describe it, he said there would be a demon that would come in 7 times worse unless you replaced it with something. And it was always something that stuck with me, that it wasn't about getting rid of the bad thing. It was about replacing the bad thing with something that filled that receptor in your brain, or filled that hole in your soul, or what, like it still gave you something, but
yeah, you have to have something.
Yeah, it has to fill it. So right now it's like, okay, what is that for everyone? Because it's a whole, I don't know. We don't have the social elements as much.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you ever get that missing of the dopamine hit or whatever from being on stage or anything? Do you get that with working out or?
Absolutely, man. I mean, the first thing you said, hunters you need to leave and come back. the happiness in my marriage now, and in any relationship, even before being gone, heart grow fonder, that whole thing, that's true. And I feel like it does, if you're going to spend a lifetime with someone, that limited exposure just kind of it keeps that excitement alive a little longer. You're not just burning out on each other every single day. And
Right.
some people need that. Some people don't know how to survive without each other. I personally am attracted to my wife's independence, and the fact that she's cool when I have to go do what I have to do. I like the time away, but you said it too. It's like the balance. I want to go and I want to leave and play shows and come back and be a father and all that. I just don't, if I do too much of one, I resent that thing, that place I'm at.
Yes.
When I'm home, because of the nature of this, I love this. I'm embracing it. I drive my wife crazy because I need something, I need to do something, man. But I'll still give space. We know how to. You learn how to give space, but I mean, the fitness thing, man, you're involved with it too. It's like the fitness thing saved my life in terms of my sanity. I train like obsessively because I am obsessed with it, because it is the replacement. It's part of the replacement. There's other things I do on a spiritual tip. I grew up with the religion and Christianity, and my grandfather was a preacher and all those things. But I have my views on it too now. But what I do, I just take the lessons that I feel like I can apply to my life in a realistic way, without having a critical spiritual mountaintop kind of persona. Yeah. But I'm like, oh, I like that verse in the Bible. That's actually about not being an asshole. It's just being cool, like, helping this guy out. Like, that's what the essence of the lesson is, and the wording is so intimidating and beautiful and, well written. But at the end of the day, it's like, I'm just trying to, oh, that's cool. Buddhism, that I like what that says. I'm going to try to apply that, and, right. But I do, I believe, man, and there's days where I struggle with that too, man. And this, like you said, this time, there's a lot of people, man, if you're struggling with any kind of depression, which is a word I think is thrown around a little too much these days. But sure. You know what I mean? It's a trendy thing to be depressed all of a sudden. And that's a very serious thing for me. I take it super serious when someone says that, I hope they mean it, but right. Guess what? Everyone gets fucking sad. We all get sad. That's right. You're supposed to feel sad sometimes. You're supposed to feel anger, and you're supposed to feel happiness. And, you don't just put it in this, I'm struggling with anxiety and depression, I struggled tremendously with depression when I was, doing tons of drugs and drinking alcohol and trying to fight my band members. I was extremely depressed. I was really happy at times, but I was, so it's, I don't know. I'm just babbling. I'm sorry.
No. That is a tricky, that's a good segue actually to something I want to talk to you about, which was, how do you communicate to other people and even know yourself where those fine lines are between real depression and just maybe being low. You know what I mean? Like, because we all have low days. Mm-hmm. Doesn't necessarily equate to being depressed. We all have anxiety, right? We have, I think most every person has anxiety every day to some degree, right? At what invisible line in the sand do we cross to where you have an anxiety like diagnosis or a problem? And that to me is a big challenge in the mental health world, or the mental health conversation, is that those words get bastardized, and it's not always the people who are bastardizing the words. It's not always their fault. They don't actually know the difference. And so it's such a blurry world, because it's when you're dealing with people's inner psyches and their inner states, it's just a weird place because it's hard to judge, right? It's hard to tell someone, like, I may have a judgment, but I may not tell you because A, I could be wrong, and then I'm going to look like a total asshole. And two, it's not my place. It's not my place to judge you. You know what I mean?
Right.
But every human being has an immediate judgment in their soul about other people, whether we speak it or not. Some people are a little more free with it and judgy, and some people just kind of keep it to themselves and are a little more modest. And I think when you get into those weeds, it's tricky, and I don't think we can tell anybody what they are or what they aren't. But someone asked a question on the last Tunnels vodcast that I did. It was just me doing kind of a Q&A. I didn't have a guest or anything. And they were asking, like, how do you tell someone to feel better about asking for help because it's such a taboo thing, right?
Yeah.
And this may not be the end all be all, but I feel like it's like focusing on becoming the person that people want to help, which is I know that's a weird way to maybe look at it, because it's not really a solution for other people's. It's a solution for the person dealing with it. Because I found a lot of mental health like conversations and like these nonprofit organizations are always, a lot of them can be focused on changing society and changing how we all think. And I think that's a good thing. But the realist part of me also believes that society is not really going to change a whole lot very quickly, right? It's a slow process, and people don't change that much. Like our monkey brains and our gut feelings, all those things just don't change, even if we're more educated and all that. So what can we do to like adjust ourselves in a way that gives us a better result and a better relationship with other people? And I thought about my grandmother and how she never asks for help. And she always just, fights, tooth and nail, and she's tough, and she like has a good attitude. But when she needs help, like she really needs help, like, and something in your soul like responds to it. Like something's like immediately like, I want to help her because I know in my gut that she's not trying to get attention from this. And if anything, she doesn't want to ask me for help. This is the last thing she wants to do. But just something in my basic human instincts are like, I want to help her. I want to, anyway, so that's not really the PC answer to tell people who are dealing with things, because we all assume they're in a very dark place, and they don't have a lot of resources in their immediate disposal. But, I don't know, man. I was just thinking of the boy who cried wolf, and that's a real thing. And it's just like trying to meditate on that.
And that's where my thing is. And when it comes to depression or any kind of mental health issue, I'm very, very cautious on how I speak on it, what I say. I can only express my experiences, the things that I've been through, the things that I've done to pull myself out of these darker places. And I will never tell anyone how or what to feel. I just observe, and I really love helping people that are struggling, because I had a lot of people help me. And, the thing too is it's just the communication, an honest, real, like absolute communication. And like you said, it's very difficult for people to come out when they're really hurting, when they're really in a bad place. People, society, it's a weakness, alcoholism is a weakness, mental health, depression's a weakness. It's looked upon as this affliction. Right. And it is a thing. But, I just feel like trying to love, you're talking about your grandmother. One thing that I've really tried to do is love the people that are really, really difficult to love, and accept the people that are really, really hard to accept, because usually those are the ones that, if you meet them, in some yielding way, like where you're just like, some of the people that are rudest to me, or they lash out or do anything I really try to connect with them. Like, what, this isn't about me. This is what's going on, And I've been amazed at what kind of barriers break down once you meet people that are super aggressive or super angry or sad. If you just meet them halfway, it opens up the communication. I mean, and that's by individual basis. It's not a group thing,
right?
But that's really the only way I feel like to be effective is when I do it and presented with an opportunity to identify someone that might be going through that or trying to find a way. Usually it's the angriest. It's their emotional projection is usually the opposite of what they want. They're super angry, but they're really scared, or people are like over the top happy. I'm like, there's something else.
Yeah.
It's never like that. It's always like, this is what I want you to see. Like, yeah, everyone's like, how you doing? I'm like, man, I'm great, man. I'm absolutely fucking fantastic. Like, are you really? No, actually, everyone in my family's dead, But it's it's like it's just getting through those layers and the ego, man. Ego is so fucking powerful, man. Ego ego will keep you, and pride will just lock you up, man. I always stress to people, man, ego is a very tricky thing. And I'm not talking about the stereotypical ego. I'm the best. I'm talking about people. It's very clever, It controls your motives. And there's a lot of social media that feeds ego and narcissism and all these things. And I'm not saying it like I'm immune to it. I fall into it. And social media and all that is such an amazing thing. At the same time, there's a lot of things I was doing based on ego, looking for comments and or bird dog in this or like analyzing it, and I'm like, man, I gotta check myself. Like, there was a life
check
before
yourself.
this. Yeah, check myself. But it's a weird thing. Combination pandemic, social media. There's like depressed people are like being like all your defects of character are being yanked out.
Yeah.
Like, look.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's like money. They say it's not that money's always the problem. It's that it brings all the problems to the surface. It just amplifies whatever was already there. It was just buried. And now it's bringing it out.
If your money, you don't need anybody. You don't need to do anything. So you become more of what you really are.
Well, even like on not to get political, but a lot of times when we talk about like social programs and helping people, it's like a lot of times people have this idea that if we just hand money out, like we're going to solve all the problems. But there's people I know personally, like if you gave them $100, just $100, or give them 1,000, like they'd be dead tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Like, because that's not what they need. Like that's actually gasoline. You're giving them gasoline and they already have a lighter. So a lot of these problems, like we get in this left and right and, blue team, red team, but it's like, it's a nuanced thing. Like, and it's not always clear. It's like most of us want good things and we just disagree about how to do it, but what you were talking about earlier, you said something that made me think, damn it. Now I'm losing my train of thought. What did you say? Oh, well,
I said a lot of blabbering.
It'll come back. It'll come back to me. But I think you said something about the ego, which, okay, I got a weird one for you. This isn't what I was thinking. Maybe that'll come back to me later. But have you ever heard of A Course in Miracles? I know that sounds super frou-frou.
Sounds intriguing. What is it?
It's my buddy Paco. Do you know Paco Estrada? Have you ever met him?
Sounds super familiar.
Okay, so we wrote with him on our self-titled album, and we wrote with him on The Stories We Tell Ourselves, which we did with you as well on Tunnels and Funny Little Creatures, which, by the way, people listening, if you didn't know, Clint was very much a mastermind in the process of the song Tunnels, which is what this vodcast is named after, and the song Funny Little Creatures. We got to collaborate together. And we had another dude who, Paco, he's like one of our brothers. He's like an invisible band member kind of a thing. Yeah. And he's one of those dudes that's just super spiritual, always like has something really cool to say, and he just has this grace about him where whatever you say to him, he just kind of does this. He'll be like, and just kind of lets it pass for a second, and then he comes back with something that's like, whoa, how did he, it comes from a deep place.
Pretty profound.
Yeah. And he told me about this book, A Course in Miracles. It was like a 1960s, I think. Maybe it even predates that, but I think it was 1960s or 70s. And it wasn't like a cult or anything, but it was kind of a new age movement thing. It was like they claimed it was like a new teaching on the Bible or Jesus or something like that. I don't buy into all that side of it, but I don't, for me personally, I don't have to. I can kind of see, try to see if, like you were saying earlier, is there a nugget of truth in this? Is there something underneath the surface? Just like bands that I listen to, it's like, I don't dig this band that much, but that song was badass, or that guitar part was really cool, and that sparked something in me. So same thing with like religions and even fringe, like new age things or cults or movements. There's always something that's true, even if there's a mound of bullshit. So they tapped in on this really cool principle about the ego, which was they just kind of go into this deep meditation, like when you read through these things and meditate on it, that really gets you to start. It's more of a meditation like lesson program than it is like something you read and leave like a book. It's like you read it every day and you kind of, it's a reframing. So if I were to teach you every day, like I took you out and we were to go out into the wilderness and I would teach you how to track an animal, which I actually know zero about, but just for the sake of an example, right? If somebody who knew how to do that, they would start showing you these signs, whether it's, on the ground or on the trees or in scents or whatever, but they would pick apart like this new frame for you, your mind to start seeing these clues, right? It's the same kind of thing. It just like reframes your brain into understanding the ego as this kind of the original sin, in a sense, that it was the seed at the very beginning of that whole myth of like leaving the garden and all these things. It was this idea that we could be separate, like that we could separate ourselves as a creation or a beings or anything from everything else. And that's kind of an illusion. But that illusion is powerful in certain ways, which is interesting. It's like, I feel like people with large egos actually can get very far in life because it's like a shell. It's like they can just batter ram through life and get to like a position and hold that position and kind of just have that head down and blinders on, and their ego is, so it's useful. And I think that's why it's here, just like anything in evolution, it's like it exists because it worked. Something about it worked.
Totally.
But like anything, it's a double-edged sword, right? It has like the dark side of it.
Yeah.
And
it's just managing the amount of ego that dictates my life. A certain amount of confidence and a certain amount of assertion and being aggressive and working hard, like doing those things like that part of the ego. And we're all musicians. Like we are naturally going to have a little bit of that. I think it's necessary to make you a good performer. I don't know if it's ego, but it feels like it sometimes. You need a certain amount of it, but I just like to be reminded, like, I'm not the entire universe. I like to be, like today I was outside walking my dog. I mean, this is silly shit, but it's like, it's the way that I'm trying to refocus, especially through this. And I've read a few books about it this year. And I was outside and there's like patches of clouds and they're like moving. They're like, when the wind's blowing, the sky is just beautiful. And I looked up, I'm like, that's cool. And when I went back and was walking my dog, I'm like, no, I want to take a moment, man, to look at this and the vastness of it. And it just, it minimized me. It made me feel like a speck. And I like to feel that way because my default is I am the way, what I see, what I absorb, what I see, how I react, that is everything. And I look at that. I'm like, I am just the tiniest in this huge, vast universe. I'm just nothing. And it just kind of, it's a good perspective because if ego can easily make me a very miserable person. I know a lot of people that are very successful, very ego driven. They're very unhappy. and my goal and objective is just to be, I want success. I want money. I want things like that. I want to succeed and do those things, those superficial things, but at the end of the day, I don't want, because I have had a little bit of taste of getting a few things I want, and I'm just find myself miserable because, it's all ego. It's all like, what can people, I want to impress. I'm not like doing any service for anyone else. I'm not doing anything there's so many other ways to find happiness, but like you said too, it's a balance of all of that and just not letting it override, every interaction, because people can feel ego too, man.
Oh yeah. I've been in so many situations when I leave and I'm like, a certain situation where I knew I was just totally in my ego and totally
me too, man.
That dude that I would probably not like. And I left, and you just have that guilt that just like hangs over you the next few days.
But you think about it.
You're like, man, was I that guy? And then I have these other days when I'm like totally the Jesus Christ of the situation, and just like, wow, that guy's like so unselfish and so cool, and it's crazy, man. Both of them are within me. They're all, neither one of them is me. It's just all warring inside, and it's all in there. And it's crazy to think that people are just this bag of a mixed bag of all kinds of crazy energies. Yeah,
some people's bags are completely full of insecurities. Some bags are full of like just some people just seem happy, like or at peace. Like,
I don't understand those people.
But neither do I. I don't feel like for my artistry. There's a certain amount of sadness and depression that I invite in my life because there's an entertainment value to it for me. Bad situations, observations of things like that. And I hate this about myself, but at the same time, it is who I am. And it's like, I try not to really navigate toward disasters or any bad things, but I do, they're interesting to me, and tragedy, how people get through it and all those things. So I don't really not like, people are, it's such a downer subject, but I'm like, man, but it is. How did they get through, and what happened, and how hard was it? And those darker places. I like really sad music. I like sad notes, and I like that energy that it is. And I don't, that in a weird, it's stupid, but it's like sadness makes me happy. Like, pain is like, oh man, that's a great, it's like, and I don't play with it too much, but it's an interesting thing. I think a lot of people just love watching bad things happen, and that's it, and that's something I don't like. Everyone, when someone passes away, it's like everyone makes it all about them, like, oh man, this is how they affected me and this and that. I'm like, it's like, don't use it as an opportunity to broadcast how genuine you are, or how much empathy you have. Just grieve.
It's not about silently. You right now, Shelly. Yeah. It's just like, respect and pay, but that's me sitting in my little bubble judging people for, acting the way that they want to act, or saying what they want to say. It's not, who am I, I mean, some judgments I feel like are 100% fair game, or, I mean, even Jesus H. Christ, I mean, he judged the Pharisees, right? Like, and I always thought that was intriguing, that, historically the Jesus of the Bible, like the people he loathed were the people who would do public things to draw attention to their righteousness or holiness or their character. And I think I
can get down with him on that.
That's the one judgment I think you can make, because I think you can smell it and you can taste it. And most of the time you're not wrong about that one. I think a lot of other things you can be pretty wrong about when it comes to judging other people. But that one's like, you can smell that. Like our creature is dialed into that. We know that when we smell it, And
it's always a few days later when people, the masses, like someone will come and do something, and then like 2 or 3 days later, all the memes come out, and it's like everyone's, oh, so you're an amazing person. Wait a minute, that was
Yeah.
bullshit. He didn't mean that, or she didn't.
Oh yeah.
We're human, man. Everyone's got their, everyone's gonna make some mistakes. Now we
Yeah.
just have social media to
Yeah.
broadcast how great we are.
I found, I don't know why this made me think of this, but I have some friends that I grew up with, and I don't keep in touch a whole lot nowadays. A lot of things through Facebook and Instagram, and everything's so mobile that you just kind of, you get these little windows of people's lives and their political opinions and their spiritual life and their family life and their, whatever.
Yeah.
But sometimes I get this sense that that there's like a naivety, or is that the right word? A naive.
Yeah, we're gonna make it work.
A naivety, a naivete.
Naivete, I like that. Naivete.
Being naive, whatever that word is. All the English majors help me out. But in that, there's a lot in my generation that grew up pretty well and were raised decently, right? Like they had like a decent family life, they had this and that. And I was fortunate enough to be around maybe in certain social circles where they grew up in a nice home and like whatever. And so they have this impression that the whole world is like, has 100% good intentions.
Yeah.
And it's very strange because it's like, I like that about them. That's what makes me like love my friends who are like that they do have like this positive outlook on the world, which I actually shared, rewind 10, 15 years ago. Now, not so much. I've seen enough of the world that I'm like,
oh,
nope.
yeah. That's cool that you got that. You've had that exposure. And my wife she grew up in a very cool, I actually resented my wife's family dynamic because it was pure and it was honest. And they were really they were supportive to each other. All the things. My childhood was nothing like that. Very poor, very very traumatic. There was good and bad, but wasn't Beaver Cleaver by any stretch. So I've been guarded my whole life, and when I would see other people with these good family dynamics, I'm like, this is bull. There's no way. There's no way. And she's like, yeah, we're actually cool with each other, and so I had to. I try to take on those character qualities that she has because of that, because she does. Like, I'm always looking out the window like, that guy's just saying this, and she's like, no, they're actually, it's total opposite. And she'll even at a restaurant where like, I'll order something like, how was it? I'm like, it was terrible. She's like, I thought it was okay. It's like, and it drives me crazy, but it really rubs off on me. Like, it's like, stop, it's so easy for me to go to, someone is trying to be nice to me, and I'm like, what do they want from me? What is this? And
right, what's your angle? Yeah,
it's like,
dude.
But that's for you and I. We got to have it because out there in the world, you have to have, like, if certain places, cities we go to, you have to turn that on. Like, okay. And especially when it comes to my family, man, if I bring them around certain aspects, I'm always watching for the sketchy people. And because I grew up around those people, I know how they think. I know what they're thinking. And that makes it, I'm a little more alert to it. And she's just like, hey, look at that nice guy. Like, oh, he's clocking
You need
us.
both. You really need both.
Yeah, totally.
And that's what's cool is like, we all have different radars, and it's like, we don't have to always beat each other up about it, which I'm obviously like not the best example because like I sometimes club, people I love over the head metaphorically about like, like, why don't you see it like this? Like, I don't understand you. I don't understand like why you don't see this or you see it that way. But at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, we need people to be on guard. And we need people who are not on guard at all. And we need like this mixture to like learn from each other. Cause there's situations where, it's like, I mean, you pick up on things the other person doesn't, and you're glad you did. And then there's other times when they need to like tell you to chill out and like, hey, things are cool.
We need the warriors. We need the people that are just here to fight. We need people that are here that are peacemakers. We need all of them because without those, those fighters and, those super aggressive people that protect, there's like in every village, there's all kinds of people that make it work, and you're not going to send the optimist, send the optimist.
Right.
So like, hey,
yeah.
it's like you have to have some dirty people, man. Like to run, and it sounds kind of naive to say that, but I think it's overall you and I just kind of trying to see everyone has a different view. Everyone's necessary,
Yeah.
Some of the stuff that people do obviously is not necessary, but it's going to happen. Humans are humans. People asked the other day, they're like, oh man, someone from Germany, I was doing an interview, they're like, what's all the anger in America right now? I'm like, yeah, it's heightened. This is a few months back, and it's heightened, but we didn't invent violence. We didn't invent conflict. Like this has been on for millions of years. Like we've been at it for a long time. This our turn.
Yeah, somebody from Germany was asking the irony.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Like, but
Sorry.
I'm not going to go.
The irony.
Yeah, I'm not going to go in that.
No, but I just mean like every country has its history. Every place on earth has violence and has bad people and good people and everywhere, right?
Everywhere.
And it
has seasons, and there's things that are going to happen politically that make push everyone's buttons, and that's I trust humans to be human. And that's one thing about acceptance. Let's accept what it is and try to do individual things to make it better. I'm not going to, I'm going to change little things in my bubble and hopefully put 2 human beings out in the world that are good or they try to be. That's the most effective thing I can do.
Yeah. Man, I've experienced a big shift moving from Texas to Louisiana in regards to people, and like you were saying, like let people be people. That's been a big challenge for me is accepting human nature, like what does that actually mean? Because like when I've always heard that growing up, it's like, what do you accept about human nature? Because if you accepted all things about human nature, it would be a giant mess, right? Like everything would be fucked up on every level. But it's like there's an acceptance, but there's also this other side that I feel like the Texas side of me is a little more let's keep the dark side in the basement kind of a thing. And in Louisiana, it's a little more like let's celebrate it a little bit and play with it so that it doesn't become a super strong beast that breaks its way out of the basement and destroys our home, And there is like this different perspective. I mean, like in the state of Louisiana, there's this, they celebrate debauchery, which I think's part of me is like, fuck yeah, awesome. Like, I love that. I love partying, but there's another part of me that's like nervous by it, And I was raised a little more uptight and conservative, And so the rebellious part of me likes that culture and that way of thinking. But and what I've found is like there's not really one way that's right. They just both have negatives and they both have positives, like to suppress things in your soul like has an effect. There's an equal but opposite reaction when you push things down into the basement. But at the same time, when you let things out, there is a positive to that, but there's also a negative if you don't have it in a certain boundary. And so I've been learning a lot about that.
The acceptance part isn't that accepting murder or accepting rape or accepting it's more for me like these things happen. Are they terrible? Absolutely. It's more of just not feeling like I can't control those things. I can't control every human being. So it's just letting go of that aspect, doing the things I can control, and the things I can touch and change and whatever. But, cause I get super mad at like some of the violent acts and when it comes to children being harmed, I can eat my lunch for a long time. And it's more like, you know what I mean? Like I'll sit and I just like want to join the, police force or some kind of zombie squad. I'm like, let's go.
Fuck
I
'em
just
up.
get really, yeah.
Get him. Let's get
Get
him.
him. But then it's like, just, I don't know. I can fall. I can spend a lot. We don't have a long time here. So let the things that I can't, I guess change, I accept. And just, I don't tolerate. I just, okay, it happens.
Yeah.
It's kind of sad.
Yeah. Yeah. It's weird. It's like finding that balance between the social justice mindset, which is like, don't tolerate any injustice. Let's solve all of it. And the opposite of that, which is like, that's the way the world is, learn to deal with it. Right. Mm. And both have their place. You got to have both. We do need to change things, and we need to constantly improve. I mean, I don't know with anything. But at the same time, there is that like layer of thick skin that is necessary to develop by just accepting the world as it is and going, yeah, things are fucked up in this area and that area, and people are shitty. Like, just, I'm going to become a person that doesn't give a fuck about it. You know what I mean? Like that. It doesn't shake me.
There's yin and yang, man. There's for every bad person, there's going to be a good person to go and push. I accept that good. I accept all the good people. I accept that other force for good that comes in just as hard. There's as much as I have to accept the bad. I love and accept. Any people, the way they evolve and they grow and they're open-minded and they change and they think about things. Oh, well, that probably wasn't the best way to do this. So let's try this. And that's like our nature, and that's why we have, we have technology, and that there's the growth on every aspect. So, I mean, some people just try to act like some of these things aren't happening, and that isn't acceptance. That's just ignorance. That's just blind, and
right.
Keeping your head in the sand. But to each his own, man. Right. Everyone's going to have their views, and it's such a debatable era right now.
Right.
Everything I'm saying right now, people are like, this guy's I can't win. So whatever.
Yeah. I think I don't know, man. Now's the time when if you have an opinion, it's going to get slashed by some group of people somewhere.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
Acceptance. I know. And the thing is that I do know is that I don't know everything. And that's the biggest epiphany that I've had this year is that I don't know half as much. And there's a relief to that,
Yeah. I got a pointed question for you here about, and I'll point it at myself first, but like with our band, if I talk about any of my personal views about life, politics, spirituality, if it's in an area that's kind of like the mainstream consensus, sorry, I can't talk today. Consensus is settled. It's fine. If I talk about it in an area where it's pretty hot and taboo, there's going to be a literal blowback that affects my business, their business, our career, our music, right? So we've worked for, as you know, like you've worked for many, many years to build Sevendust and, your solo project that has branched from there and all the things that you do. But with us, same thing. It's like we've worked so hard, right? And I'm only one of us. But if I'm true to myself and I inject myself into that part of society or whatever, it has blowback, right? And it can cause like an issue with our actual lives. And it's interesting to think about, like we had a lot of debates and discussions as a band about, how much I should basically portray my own beliefs versus the beliefs of the group. And it's like this balance between the two because they don't want to stifle me or put a sock in my mouth at all. But at the same time, they don't want me to be stupid and say some dumb shit publicly and then get, socially crucified. And then there goes our business. Right. So it's like this world now where everything goes so instantaneously if you voice your thoughts in a way that aren't strategically planned to the dot. That's and
people can smell that too.
Yeah. I told the guys and we've talked about this, but I'm like, I didn't sign up to be a politician. Fuck that. Like, I want to be an artist, and at the same time, I don't want to screw y'all's life up either. So there's some middle ground here. I get that, but I think with all that, it's like. It's interesting because I find that most artists, most people in the art world, which is awesome, are positive oriented because they feel a lot of negativity. Like our genre especially is very negative, like musically, but they're some of the most positive people I've met. You know what I mean? The music is like dark and like focuses on all these things, but the people are some of the nicest people ever. So it's kind of this interesting little mashup. But I lost my train of thought where I was going with that. But
you're talking about just be a voice or not. Do you project your views strongly and affect the rest of the band, or tame it down? Like what
right
in that world?
It was like a battle of the soul. Like it got into like a moral ground, which was beyond like a strategic and a business level, or like up here, and like a deeper is like this like. Being true to your soul kind of realm, like ethics and morals and all that shit, spirituality. And, but it kind of puts you in your place too when people push back, people that you trust who do love you and want your best interest in mind, who go, hey, like, what's your motivation in this? Like, what are you trying to say? Are you trying to push people's buttons for a positive reason or a negative reason or those kind of things? But I find that some part of me, like, the berserker in like some video games, I forgot what it was, but the guy who just likes to blow shit up and just like watch it burn just because he wants some kind of destruction and change. There's the berserker in me, there's like a little part of me that like wants that, but then there's a whole other part of me that doesn't at all. Does not like that, wants stability, wants peace and harmony. But the berserker like comes out at times, especially I found with y'all watching, like, alcohol, number one, that is like the most, that's the gatekeeper of aggression and chaos. And I love alcohol. I'm not going to lie. I drink like not a ton, but when I drink a lot. Like, I don't drink throughout the week. I'm a super hard worker. I'm diligent, disciplined. But then when I go hard, and I drink super hard. I'm like more of a binger. And it's taken me to this like dark place, it's like that I've never been before. This part of me that I didn't even know existed. That's like, can't look anyone in the eye straight because I suspect their motives constantly. Like, I just think everyone's evil, and it's like this, it's dark, and I'd never been there before. Cause I used to be like a big pothead back in my early 20s. And it was like all happy and joyful. But then my mom died of cancer, and the pot was so connected with that time period that every time I'd smoke, I get like flashbacks and stuff. So I just got away from it. It was just like this, it became a dark thing, even though it was so positive. And I used to smoke with her when she had cancer. It would like help her and stuff. Yeah. Then, so I started drinking more because I got away from that. And then, man, I started going to some dark places.
I believe me, I've been there too, man.
Yeah. But I don't know, man. It's like, it's eye-opening. It's eye-opening, but it's because I think a lot of people have been there. I think a lot of people know what we're talking about.
I tell you what, I'm really glad that social media wasn't around during my drinking days, because Lord, let me tell you something. I would have been putting some interesting posts up. And the band would not have been super thrilled. I mean, I don't know. Maybe there would have been some super truth, that would have been actually refreshing. But there's a certain way. I know I was a very unsettling individual. And I started out drinking. It was actually fun and, festive and all that. But, I just had from the first time I ever drank, man, it was blackout drunk. And it was
Really?
like, I never looked at it as a moderation thing. I never understood the reason. Why would you stop? And it was something that I just always did full steam when it entered my body. And it was, that's just my personal makeup. Everyone's different. If I could drink casually and have fun with it, it wasn't such a bad thing. I would be drinking today. But for me, that ended, and it was like you were talking about. That dark was all the time. When I wasn't drinking, I was dark. It progressed to that for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I would certainly not be good in social media, on drugs and alcohol. I mean, I see people post stuff now, and I know that they're going to delete it later. It's like, oh yeah, that's what I would have done. People get in a lot of trouble, man. But I'll say this on whether to voice your opinion or not. For me, it's a choice. If you have, everyone should be able to say whatever they feel. They should be able to say it. But if you put it out there, be prepared for the windfall. People are going. People are saying, "Oh, yeah, I want to have freedom of speech." Yeah, you can say whatever you're going to say, but guess what? Everyone is going to give you their thoughts, and then if you're ready for that, go for it. But I just want to. I try to be careful. I want to be knowledgeable about what I'm putting out there. Just at least. When it comes to politics, there's certain things that I don't understand, don't know, so I don't speak on it. If I do, I feel a big injustice is happening, I'll use my voice in little ways, but it's more of a generality. Like I'm going to try to be.
See, Clint, that's smart. That's not always my go-to there. That's smart.
Yeah, but you're the damn singer, man. You gotta be the wild card.
Gotta shake it up a little bit,
Yeah, I see your post sometimes. Like he's in it, man, right now.
Shake it up.
Hey, but some of my favorite artists, man, are the ones that do shake it up, and I feel like there's a lot of growth that happens with that. Sometimes it takes someone saying, everyone in the world is like, sheep, yeah, and then all of a sudden there's one person like, no, this is bullshit. And I'm gonna tell you why. And then everyone's like, oh yeah, you're right. It's there's
or
always
you're wrong, and I'm never listening to your music again.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, man. So I just you're around long enough, you can become the villain, man. that movie or whatever.
Yeah. And the craziest thing is when someone tells you you're the villain. It's the strangest experience I've ever had was that my reaction was not to tell them that I'm not. My human reaction was to go, well, fuck you. I'll be the villain then. Yeah. You know what I mean? That is like, that surprised me. You know what I mean? Because it's like, I don't think I'm the villain, but at the same time, you're kind of like, all right, if you're going to think that no matter what, regardless of what I have to say, then something in my human psychology naturally just wants to go, all right, that's what I'm going to be. And I think that people do that with a lot of things,
Yeah. You giving power to people is very, and this, I get super sensitive. I used to get a lot more sensitive about bad comments, things like that, because I'll read 100 nice things and see one negative thing. I'm like, that. And that is my ego. That's the ego that I was talking about before, the one that I am so, and I can't allow even the nice things that are said to be taken. I can't take that in fully either. I can't just push that. I got to take it, nice things, kind words, supportive people to the bands and the art is great, but I can't let that just as the same way the negatives, I have to just accept it as, oh, cool. They like it. That's great. And not like, let it feed this, I am incredible,
Yeah.
It's just like, I'm an artist. I've been doing this a whole long time. You have too. So yeah, it should be pretty good. We've been doing this our whole life. So yeah. So like, I don't read everyone. You're good. You're good. Yes. Yeah. I'm just more like, oh, cool. Then the work is paying off a little bit.
Right. Dude, you just said something that sparked a thought, but that is kind of the lie of the ego, is that I will protect you from the negative things, right? And I will shield you in some way.
Yeah.
But the other side, which is kind of the lack of the, not the lack of an ego, but the withdrawal of the ego, the letting go of it, the putting the gun down, is that when you're just clearly seeing and you're just perceiving things as they are, things that aren't true don't stab you anymore, because it's obviously about them. It's not about you. You know what I mean? Like, they obviously have something that you trigger or you cause an issue with. So it's like the ego will go, I'll protect you from that. But the deeper part of you goes, I'm not going to protect you. I'm going to open you up. And so you're vulnerable now to get stabbed. But all these like stabbings are going to miss you now, because they're coming. You see now that they're from a totally different place. Most of them. Now, when it's true, it'll hit you, and it should. And so it's a good thing.
Exactly. And that's some of the things I'm like, yeah, the reason I'm so upset is because it's true. And then just accepting that and not letting it take so much, so much real estate in my head. It's a weird thing, man. I've gotten a lot better with it, but there are days still, and just in life in general, like with people, in my social circles or whatever, that if someone agrees with me, then sometimes I like the debate. Sometimes I like someone to say, well, you probably, because I especially when it comes to music, and there's only a few people I'll share music with. I'm like, what do you really think about this? And they're like, oh, but I don't want you to, it's like, I want you to tell me the truth, but I want you
I know.
Be nice about it already,
Yeah. I put so much time and energy.
Dude, yeah, totally. We're sensitive creatures.
This hurts. This is going to hurt.
Oh, like, dude, are you ready? Like,
it's like someone telling you your child is like just ugly as dirt, or something, or.
Yeah, man. It's like, well, this is probably your worst work ever. Like, you should probably think about stopping. Like that kind of stuff. Yeah. You don't need to do that. I don't need you, that kind of friend. Lie to me, baby. Lie to me. Oh man.
That stuff like, what are you doing? That's tough, man. Trying to, that balance between tell me the truth, but also like, give me a little sedative.
Be cool about it. Ease it in there.
Yeah.
Do a couple, like, flower me up a little bit. Like, hey man, but first off, man, I respect your work ethic.
Like, oh shit, here it comes. He hates it.
Yeah.
Well, dude, I had to piss so bad, and we're at about an hour and a half here, so I want to kind of try to wrap it up here and talk about before I go. I want to talk about your solo stuff, apart from Sevendust. Oh wait, we have a visitor. Hey.
Oh, I didn't know you were on.
You want to say hi to the vodcast? That's Skylar. Here.
What's up?
What?
I was going to say s'more time, but I didn't
S'more
know
time?
you were
Oh,
on.
we're making s'mores in the backyard. So,
Oh man, get to it.
sorry,
man.
Clint. We got s'more time. We got.
Get out of here. That's all good. No, go do it. Go do it.
Okay. Well, we'll wrap this up. All right, get it ready.
That's cool, man. That's good stuff.
But I want to talk about my favorite song, which is "She's Free." That's my favorite song of
Thanks,
yours.
man. Thank you.
What's your favorite song?
I like it. Remember that Chris Farley? Like, you remember that song you wrote? Like, Let It Be? Is that true? That's about my little girl, man. Remember when you did
remember
that
when
song
you
about, like,
song?
you did the thing, you sang really cool. You like to party, man? I do.
That's what I'm doing right now to you.
I love it. Oh, man. Yeah, She's Free. It's about my little girl, man. I like the God Bless the Renegade song because it was about the sheep and not wanting to be a part of the sheep. And, that solo record, man, it's like already looking back at it, it's like there's so much I want to do different. And there's so much I don't feel like I compromised, but it was my first thing and first, bigger release. And, you're constantly like, no, it's not good enough. I want to do it again. I want to do it again. So I think it was a good foundation record.
Hell yeah.
The next one will not be anything like it. No, it's going to be like it, but
I love your creativity, man. Everything I hear from you, I always like, it has this sound, and I love it.
Dude, you're
always liked your stuff.
Man. You were just a true fucking artist, and I love it. And I have much respect. You know that. I don't have to tell you that. So thank you for that, man.
Well, everyone who stuck around with us, appreciate you guys. Check out Clint's solo stuff, Clint Lowery. Check out my favorite song, "She's Free." That's the jam for me personally. But check it out. Also, Sevendust, new album. Check it out. I have to piss so bad.
Get out of here, man.
I've been drinking hot sake right here. I got this in Japan, not even joking. And I've been drinking wheat beer. Why am I mixing these? And espresso.
I'm going to go. Let me give you a really long answer. I'm going to give you a really long, drawn out.
All right. Oh, God. Just do it. Just go. I'm going to get my mobile mic and take it to the bathroom real quick.
Oh, man. Hey, man, I'm going to go put my kids to bed.
All right. Well, tell them we say goodnight and, belated Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Here we go, 2021.
Let's go, man.
Let's do it. We'll talk again, man. Good time with Clint.
Have fun, man.
Bye.